So those people that are now kind of in office now, even in the Park Heights Development Center, we did that center before all the other technology centers were on with Mayor Schaefer.
Wow.
Yep, so.
I remember the old mayor station, you
Yep.
came in and right
Yep.
there at Spring Hill.
So listeners,
I grew up around it.
Yep. I used to run a program out of DC when I was working on my doctorate and actually my master's, and it was called Technology Commercialization Center. The first white paper in the state of Maryland, I wrote as a graduate from Morgan State University, and they tried to pretend that wasn't there. So when you see all these technology centers, it came out of that study, and it was called Technology Commercialization, an Alternative to Minority Business Failure. That somebody found, and all those other little technology places you see, incubation places,
Right.
that was done from that white paper, which they claimed they lost. So now, I went away. Actually, Baltimore ran me away. You know, Baltimore eats its own. You guys know that out there, don't you?
Yep.
Crabs in the barrel.
Crabs in a barrel.
That's why we like crabs so
Hey,
much.
we do. But guess what? I turned it, I flipped it. And I said, you know, the crabs are smarter than we are. When a crab is trying to get out of the bag and out of the pot, if somebody was boiling you, would you be going down to the bottom, or would you step on anything that was in your way to get to the top? So I told my grandson, the crabs are not in the bottom. They see the light when you open the pot, and those little suckers, if they can get out of that pot, you have a hard time catching a crab when it gets away from
Well, the
it.
only thing that happens in my house, they all end up with the same fate.
I know that's
Oh,
right.
yeah. They're not good at getting away from
All
it.
the crabs end up with the same fate.
That's
They
right.
either end up with an empty shell or in a cake.
That's right. But, so folks, yeah, I came back to Baltimore because actually my mother was sick and I was over in Africa doing some work with the ANC. Had the pleasure of working with
Is that the African National Congress?
And I worked directly with Madiba. And that's what they call Madiba. Because he's to them like George Washington is to a lot of folks in America.
Mm.
All Africans from Johannesburg, South Africa, all those areas, they call Nelson Mandela Madiba. And they didn't report that when he went to jail, it was the students that really helped him get out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came out, he worked with the students. So if you remember when they had his funeral, when he died, they had a standard script that they read. They never said that in his last days, he was primarily working with the students. And he wanted that known.
Right.
So a guy named Lionel Maxwell, we met him at Robben Island, and he wanted to know what we did. And my company was called Butler Distribution. He gave us, and my son had to bring it to my attention, we were the only person in the whole wide world that he gave authorization to promote his book worldwide. It's called Madiba, the Rainbow Man, and now it's a collector's item.
Now before we get to why you're here today, because we want to follow up this conversation. A lot of people have some interest in what's right in my face.
Yes.
It's blinding me right now.
It's called
What's in my face right now.
Yep.
Is the light, and people want to know about it, want to talk more about it. But I do have a guest that I did want to come in and talk about some stuff that he's doing in the community. So I got on the line Jonas Mervelis. Jonas, are you there? How's it going? Welcome to the special delivery. Absolutely. Well, Jonas, I wanted you to call in because a lot of people, you do a lot of exceptional work in the community and around the city, and a lot of people, whether they know or don't know, I wanted to make sure that we appreciate and paid homage to you for the work that you do. So I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the story, your story, and the story, and what you do in the community.
1590 that legally got caught on the web. On the web. Yeah. 1590 died. WEED
have you live in studio so we can have a more expanded conversation about exactly some things that are upcoming that you know and I know what we're talking about. Some things that are upcoming for the city. SpeedyX, you can go in there, you can pull up on his website, myspeedyx.com. All of that is doing some great work, phenomenal work in the city of Baltimore. I'm glad to call him a friend. I'm also glad to call him a brother, and glad to call him a partner. So, so that's one. So I'm glad Jonas got to call in. He's a great young man. Like I said, young man doing some stuff. We also have another caller. So Austin.
Oh, Austin is the COO out at Purification. He's the one that actually puts these things together.
Well, we're going to, Austin, if you can, we're going to hold you over for a second because we're going to do an intro into this segment of the show. We're going to talk about Purification, and we're going to talk about exactly what it's doing, how it's being implemented, and all of those things, and then the technical stuff about it that we may or may not know, that our callers and listeners may or may not know. Again, this is the special delivery here on the famous 1590 WFBR. Callers, you can call in at 410-761-1592. We're live in studio here with Dr. Mel Butler and with Mr. Alston here with Purification.
Yes.
Also having studio here live with us she's actually playing the camera person today. Janelle Pender.
They won't let me sit in the background.
We won't let her stay in the back. She always gotta be right here.
Yeah, she's a blossoming queen.
So
she's the queen.
So let's get into the conversation because I want us to spend most of, if not the rest of the show on talking about Purification because I wanted to make sure we had enough time to really get into a lot of technical details about what Purification is, what it does, how it works, all of those things. We started last week and we started talking about it, and I think people had some technical questions and things like that, and people just didn't know exactly how it worked, if it worked, what it does.
Yes.
So tell us about Purification. I'm here with Dr. Mel Butler. So tell us about Purification and how it started, how it got, and then how you got involved, and then actually what it does.
Yes.
Because I'm looking at it right now, it's in front of me, and these balls still aren't hot.
That's right.
So.
That's right. And if you notice, they're not hot because they don't burn much energy. So one of the first things it does, it will save people a lot of money. But I want to thank Austin because he's the person out at in Idaho where the bulbs are coated, and he really is in charge of the operation. And actually, he's been really so helpful and instrumental to me because he's a people kind of person. And I'm going to reserve some of the time. I'm going to let Austin talk about some things. But actually, everybody that's out there you're listening to on the TV, I just have to say this, they're wrong. They're wrong. First of all, they're wrong with the date. That virus started back in Baltimore, back in October of last year. So when they say they got on it right away, they really didn't.
So when there were people like, I don't know, not to cut your wisdom, Dr. Butler, but there were people that were like, had flu-like symptoms back in like it was a period from like November to February. And there were people in the city, like I remember families of people that had the flu.
They did. We were those people.
Whole sick.
We were those, my whole team got it because we picked it up from somebody down in Bowie. But let's basically get to the origins of it. Austin, as I said before, he's a person that when you see it and we tell you what it does, he checks it out, gets the units in, and they're coated with something called titanium. And titanium is a metal. It's probably ranked number 8 in the series. If I got that wrong, Austin will correct it. But if you ever drank spring water, it tastes good, right?
Right.
Well, titanium is found in areas that are wet, always near the water. And it's sort of called like Earth's cleanser because it always has been under the ground and the water goes into the ground. It goes over the titanium that's in the ground. And when it hits the light, it causes something called a photocatalytic action. That means that it produces a cleanser, which is a superoxygen molecule. So it creates that molecule, and if anybody's been listening to the news, they know the shortest thing that they have is oxygen. So if this makes oxygen, then why are we having so many people die?
Basically saying when people get sick or they get the virus and it kind of collapses their lungs because they can't breathe.
And they put them on, and they spend like $50,000 to put them on a ventilator, when all the ventilator is going to do is extend that person's life a little while longer. if they were having these in, and this is it's a purification and air filter system. That's a system. And I'll let Austin tell you a little bit about the background, how it started with NASA. See, a lot of people say, well, where are your numbers? Where are your things? Where's the history? Our job is to commercialize it. And when you're commercializing something, getting it on the market, a lot of data that you get is original. That's why people get you to commercialize it. If the data was out there, even though it is, because Austin did a great job of researching and providing us with stuff about the light, that when you get this system, the filtration system, you will see the reason that 18 out of 20 people that were with us when we all got this back in November, early December,
Right.
we all had it. But thanks to these lights, we are alive. Had we not had these lights, all of us would have been dead. Because actually, the superoxygen molecule actually cleans the air, gets rid of all the bad pathogens and things in the air. But Austin, I know you're packing things, going crazy out there. Tell them a little bit about you. He's from Australia, folks.
Okay.
So,
Does he have the accent?
oh yeah, he got it. He is a true Australian.
All right.
So, my friend, Austin, say a few words to folks about what's going on at the company out there in Idaho. We're gonna bring you down here. Well, just give them a little bit of information. I've got a lot of statistics here, but let them know the process probably that we use. We get the bulbs, and they can send any bulb. All bulbs have a number on them.
Right.
So in your house, as long as we have the number, the company, they can get up to about 50 different
Well,
types.
I guess to make it clear, Austin. So what we want to kind of hear is how it started. How did Purlight
From
start?
NASA, yeah,
Right.
he could talk.
How
I can do
did
it too.
Purlight start? And what is the implementation strategy for getting this out to the masses and talk about what it
I do
does?
that.
Yeah.
No. He
Okay.
does the orders. All the
Great.
other stuff, getting it out there, the marketing
Okay.
of it, that's what I do.
Okay.
So Austin, you can just tell them a little about the studies. I know we did, when it first came out, when NASA had it, and basically NASA used it to coat the spaceship. When the spaceship first was set up, space station, when it went up there, mold was growing all on the outside of it. Some molds that they couldn't even identify. So when they got back to NASA, they said,
Gotcha.
we gotta fix this. So they worked on something, and they came up with the solution, the titanium dioxide. The problem with the NASA version is that it only lasted a short while, like 9 to 12 months, and they needed something that was longer. In comes Roger Young, who's the owner of the product, and he said, well, that's out there. It's been out there a long, long time. When you brush your teeth, titanium dioxide is in the toothpaste. Any white wall you see, titanium dioxide is in that paint. When you see a road strip that's white on the street, titanium dioxide is there. So it's been around a long time. The scientists know it's been around a long time. But this version, when Mr. Young went and started dabbling with it, I guess it took about 7 or 8 years, figuring out, well, how can I make it last longer than NASA and be a better quality than NASA? So that's how he got involved. And he did put it out there, like most people do, in a multi-level kind of version to get the proof of concept, so to speak,
Right.
by the people calling in and telling what they did. And I think they did, Austin can correct me if I'm wrong, but almost 8,000 people they did. And they had the positive response from almost all of them, except I think maybe about 4. And that complaint from the 4 was that it was too light. They didn't understand that the brightness is what we call a daylight bright, which means when you walk outside on a clear day, that is what you're looking into, that kind of light.
Right.
And it's done for that. Okay, Austin, you can just take a few minutes. I know you got to get back to work, but let us know anything that you want us to know. And I know everybody should get it, but you take a few minutes and then you can go back to work if you want, and I'll finish it out. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Say your name.
Mm-hmm.
The lytic reaction
You can talk.
doesn't take place
I talked y'all mics on.
in that low temperature
Go ahead
range.
and talk if you want.
So did,
We have done that last
do you want to
time.
bring her on at the same
And
time?
this is in a
Uh,
five
with
cell
us?
Vern?
okay,
Vern
low
and-
temperature
Yeah.
range.
He's calling from New Hampshire. He's an IT guy.
Okay, so you want to bring them on at the same time? So we had a whole conversation.
Middle of the day,
Okay.
sun
You wanna go
is,
back on? Okay.
as
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What? Thank you, Austin. We got to move on in the time a little bit. We got so many callers holding on now, but I just wanted them to know that we work close together because we, a lot of our folks that are in the inner city, they don't get the opportunity to use something like this. So this is a game changer for everybody.
Well, let me ask a question real
Yes.
quick while I have you on here, and I know we have Vern Nicholson who's also
Right, he's also-
was your IT.
Yes.
So I definitely want to bring Vern into the conversation. But let me ask maybe to put in layman's terms
Mhm.
because what Austin gave us was a lot of technical information. right?
I'm gonna speak.
Right, there's a lot of technical information. So if Dr. Butler, if you can just tell the listeners exactly what this light does.
Yep.
What it does.
It filters the air.
Right.
It makes clean air for you to breathe, and it produces a super oxygen molecule. That molecule destroys anything that's bad in the area. And so if they had this in the house, like right now, instead of talking about containment, this would be filtering the air in their home so it would be safe for them and safe for the children. Now, since it's a filtration system, it's like when you buy a ventilator, you buy a ventilation system or air conditioning system.
Right.
All the air that circulates around that light, it gets treated, so to speak, In other words, the good bacteria would be there, the bad bacteria, say, would be gone. So this, as long as you have it and have it on, as Austin said, that reaction is like taking a vacuum cleaner and cleaning all the bad air out of your house. So you could have this in for almost pennies per room, and your whole house would be germ and bacteria free.
Now let's say, for example, I put these lights in my bathroom,
Mhm.
and I have, you know how people have like, because it's water, it's wet, so people have like mold around,
Yeah.
or they have it in their basement, they have mold and bacteria around. This light actually penetrates that.
And not only penetrates it, we just had a gentleman who's a major contractor who was skeptical, and he went home. This was just last week, am I right?
Right.
She was there. He actually went home, but skeptical about the light. I told him put one in his bedroom, one in his bathroom, one in the kitchen, and a common area.
Can we get Miss Jean to do that?
Yeah, I think
Can
she
we get Miss Jean to do that?
look,
Let her
she'll-
try
she'll-
it, huh?
She'll jump up and do a dance. She looks like she like that.
Yes.
But the gentleman called back 2 days later and said, I don't believe it. I said, well, what's wrong? He said, that part, it really works. It not only took care of all of the mold, but you know how they have the little cracks that mold gets all down in?
Right.
He thought that someone had cleaned his bathroom.
Whoa.
Now, yeah, he's
Right.
an owner of a construction company
Yeah.
that we were gonna do some business with. But that is what it does. If you put it in, now the reason it's gonna be a game changer, if you had this system in, say a store, and it's cleaning the air, people wouldn't feel bad about going in that store.
Or restaurant.
A restaurant, yeah, any place that they're telling people now, nail shop, restaurant, barber shop, daycare centers. We actually have daycare centers that have the lights throughout, and it's so clean, the air is so clean, that the owner, and he will do a testimony, Rogers Avenue Daycare Center, is totally without lights. And he said it's the first year ever that he has not had a child have a cold, sneeze, or do anything because the air is so clean. We have the Salsa Grill on Security
On
Boulevard.
Security Boulevard, yeah.
Yep, that whole place has our units in it, and he put them over. He's got a picture online of it too. You put the lights above the head of the people that's sitting down eating, and every table, because of the light, the proximity to the table, just a few feet above it, so they're like eating in a sterile bubble. So you're sitting in there at least 20 minutes or so. That air is pure. Now, his name is Jay, and he's willing to tell people, I don't like to say things because people think I'm set up by the company to do it.
Right.
So we encourage you, call him. Call Jay, he'll talk to you.
That's Jay at the Salsa
call-
Grill.
Salsa Grill, the daycare center. So if we had those places protected, then people wouldn't mind going in. And we do have a plan for them to go into the schools. But we don't have enough time to talk about it now. We're the only ones in the United States of America, in the whole world, that we have a 5-step plan on how you can get people back to their jobs, get people out to eat safely. The first responders is who we're directing our first test to. It's like an onion. You got layers of protection that you can put with the people.
Mm-hmm.
We could go to New York right now, and in those areas like the train, we have a solution for the people riding on the train. You could take the lights and put them on the train. And we have a liquid that you could paint the inside of the train, and the trains will be germ-free. Don't care where the people sit, they can sit and ride up and down all day long. So these are things that you're not hearing that it's something out there that could be used. You're hearing everybody saying we need to let 90,000 more people die. So we're saying if you put a filtration system in these retail outlets, in these daycare centers, in the barbershop, in the beauty shops, or where your workers work in the meat places, put the lights over all those people in the meat places, and the light purifying the air, you wouldn't have to send everybody home. You wouldn't have to have people die.
Kill salmonella.
But this is really, and salmonella, Ebola, all the light will kill all of those things, already
Wow.
proven.
Oh,
So we just have to get together as a people and demand that, say in the state of Maryland, demand in Washington D.C., that they look at this just as good as they would look at somebody that you're gonna give $483 million to and don't know if it will work. Here, if you put it in, within the first week, you're gonna know it works. So we don't have to wait until September for people to die. How many people can die after September? Hopefully none.
Well, let's bring Vern into the conversation.
All
Let's
right.
introduce Vern.
Hey, Vern is out of New Hampshire. He's our IT guy. Vern, can you quickly tell a little about your background? He's the person that will help us track and help us know where to go, where the best places to put the product, in places that will help people. So, Vern, are you there? Okay.
Hi, Vern. How you doing? Good. Welcome to the special delivery. And you're going to deliver some great information to us, so Sure. Mm. Okay. So, mhm. Wow.
And what Vern will be doing is actually we have our own advertising people, so we make our own commercials, and he'll be making documentaries that you can go online on YouTube or on Facebook for Faces Going Places, and you can actually see the documentaries, and he handles the building of our website. If you go to Maker and the number 2 Marcus, then you'll see my website that he designed, and it's one of the best websites I've seen. But he can pinpoint areas by name, by age, by whatever we want him to do. He actually can go in and give us information on that section, whether it's Atlanta, whether it's Detroit, Rhode Island, anywhere. He does all the stuff that you'll be seeing on the computer that involves Pure Light. And so our listeners can go
So
to...
it's basically, is it like the market analysis, like market analytical data from market?
He
Okay.
does, yeah, absolutely, and he does that every day, so right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. Mm.
Want to say that again for Vern so they have a time to write that down? Say that again, please. Uh-huh.
Mhm. But they gotta put the lights in their business.
Yep. Mhm.
That's right. That's what I wonder.
Yeah.
I threw that in there. I
Right,
didn't know
right,
that
right.
was
Yeah,
part
so-
of the
see,
deal.
right. The team
But I-
building for
Right.
the listeners, what we're trying to do is what we really did in the old day. Now, somebody out there, I don't know if it's the president, but I heard it from somebody. I heard it from somebody that said, the people said that if you have this unit in your home, that you're gonna have a level of protection that you couldn't get anyplace else. Now, for all those scientists and people out there, doctors that are out there, no disrespect to them, but I ran this country's top program for inventors in this whole United States of America. So all the people on that's talking now, and the CNNs and the different radio stations, they're not really looking for somebody like me that can talk with those people because they have not really commercialized anything. The experts they're talking to, the reason they're so confused and scattered all over the place, they've never put anything out there actually on the market. We did it as a routine because we represented this country. Those same people that are talking to you on TV, they would have to sit on a panel with us. There were only 6 centers. Ours was the only one in the country that did Genesis marketing. That means the gas or oil projects.
Yeah.
That means when you see the Hummer on the street, the automobile, the Hummer, it came from one of our inventors. When you go to the store and buy Hot Pockets, it came from one of our inventors. When you see a person walk in the fire and they don't get burned up, whether it's the fire department, a military person, or the police department, they have in that suit something that one of our people did. It's called FR4. That stands for Flame Retardant 4. Those of you that are old enough, it was on the show. That's incredible. Those are our customers.
When they had the thing that got burnt his arm.
That's right.
I remember that when I was a kid. I remember that.
That's right. So when you go to the store and you buy a pork sausage, we did the first campaign with pork sausage where they said,
More pork sausages, Mom, please.
Now,
I remember that.
I had to tell you that because
Mr. Henry Parks, and shout out to Mr. Henry
Yes.
Parks and
Henry Parks, Ray Haysburg.
And Ray Haysburg,
They were the
yeah.
one that broke me into marketing. And all these things that a person can go online. If you want to go online, we have some of the inventors that see a marketing person is behind the scenes.
Right.
That's why you don't see a lot of talk out there.
Right.
But it comes a time where people say, listen to the experts. Well, if they listen to what we did, when it comes to commercialization, I think we're the experts. So we would like to be with any of those people. When you go in the store, and in case they weren't, because they've been trying. They broke into my house. They went all through my stuff. But all you got to do is go to the records. When you go to the store and buy Hot Pockets, yep, that's us. When you go to the store and buy a barbecue sauce, it's called all-purpose sauce. That was done by a former basketball player named Jim Barnes. And just for the people that say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, that was done with McCormick. The partnership was with McCormick. So go take that, Mr. Scientist, Mr. Doctors. Comes on.
Do you notice that all of these national things that you're talking about were right here in Maryland?
But yet
McCormick, Park Sausage, things like that, they were all here.
even the people that are in Park Heights Business Center,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of them up there.
Yep.
But we were the ones that worked with Mayor Schaefer. We did an in-kind, and that's why that building is up there to this day. We were the ones, and we had the first inventor in there. His name was Jim Smith, out of New Jersey. Mr. Smith came up with the speaker, and Mr. Smith was the first and only black person to be entered in the Consumer Electronics Show in Chicago. All you got to do is check the records. So we're gonna have a lot.
Men lie, women lie. Facts though. So I want to give Alston and Vern, a final. Give them probably about 30-second closeout for them. Let them say their piece. Alston, we'll start with you.
Are you still there? Austin may have gone back to work. The order's been coming in like crazy, so he had broken away from his work just to be on. But Vern is still on. Vern,
if you want to give us about a 30-second closeout.
Vern, you have a book out, don't you? He wrote a book out about Tom Brady.
Uh-oh.
It's online.
Uh-oh. This is Raven country, but we'll appreciate the info.
No, you'll like that info. So Vern,
I'm a football guy.
Okay, Vern, can you quickly, and he's online solutions. So if you got products that you want maybe, promoted or things like that. But Vern, go ahead and close out with whatever you feel.
I got a pro football. Let's give 1 second before you start. I got a pro football team with you.
Okay.
brother,
My
for
pleasure.
coming on. Thank you, Austin and Vern and Danelle, for joining us here in studio, our freelance camera lady. But this has been the special delivery here. Another week. I'll tell you, we need to go 2 hours, Gene. I gotta find a way. We gotta find a way to go back to 2 hours. But want to thank everybody for listening. All of our listeners. Remember, you can reach us here. Special delivery here at Wednesdays at 2 o'clock on the famous 1590 WFBR, and our calling number 410-761-1592. And we will see you next week. This has been
All
the
right.
special delivery.
Be more, be the best.
Yep.
We think we